In this video, I'm working with SQL Alchemy and Flask. I have a simple database of painters painting paintings. So I have two entities, a painter entity and a painting entity. And a painter paints many paintings, but a painting is painted by one painter. So painting has a foreign key. And in the last video, we made a Flask uh, form for deleting an artist, and we employed the cascade. So when we got rid of the painter, we got rid of all that painter's paintings. But this time we're going to delete a painting. So as far as the database is concerned, that's easier. The only thing a little more difficult here is that we are going to display all the paintings uh, in a grid.js table so that the person can look through all the paintings before they choose to delete one. And for that purpose, I'm going to do sort of an explicit join query in SQL Alchemy. So let's get started. So let's run it just to see what's happening. Um, so there's the Flask run, and bring up the browser. And here I have some navigation. We're on delete painting. I set that as the default route I sent to the one I'm interested in, the delete painting. And I have this grid.js view where I can look at the paintings, and actually more of the work is here than the actual deleting. Then I have a drop-down select of all the painters, but here you can search. I want to get rid of, say, the kiss or something like that. So that will tell me that then it's painting 16, and then I can sort of look for it here in my drop-down list. There's painting 16, The Kiss by Gustav Klimt, and I can delete it. It let me know that this says painter, should say painting. The kiss was deleted. And now if I go back to any of them, but let's go back to delete painting, we should now see that there's no, here are my Klimts, and there's no kiss. If I search for K, there's no kiss. Okay. So that was it. We deleted a painting. That was the form we wanted. Okay. So we have our definitions. Our definitions haven't changed since the last time. Our populate hasn't changed. Our queries haven't changed. We've added a route. We've added the delete painting route. So there's delete painter. Here's delete painting. Okay. And here is the explicit join and I'm also naming the fields. Okay. So here I'm using the session to query my database. I'm listing all my fields, which I've done once before, but let me put in some returns here so you can see. I am querying the painting ID and the painting title and the painter last name and the painter first name. So in SQL Alchemy, you can, one way to get the relationship is to work with the relationship object. But here instead, we are getting the relationship sort of more explicitly in a database way. So we are asking for painting data and painter data, and then we are filtering on the painting painter ID and the painter ID. And that is the sort of setting the primary key of the painter table equal to the foreign key in the painting table, which establishes the relationship. So we're performing a much more explicit join here. That's one thing. And we are also labeling the field. So in the database, the painting has a property called ID, and the painter has a property called ID, and I'm using uh, both results, both tables, both entities, and I don't want there to be any confusion. And so I am sort of explicitly naming the fields. That's what this label does. So if it were a pure SQL statement, you would say as, like get me the painting ID, and then you say as ID. So I'm naming these, explicitly naming these fields. So I know I'm explicitly doing the join, and I'm renaming the fields so that I am sure that I know what they're called. Okay. And then because I name fields when I do the query, I get a list of named tuples. And when I send them over, I like to have a list of dictionaries. So I am doing a list comprehension here, and I am casting my elements as dictionaries. So if I had just a pure, simple query of like painter or painting without explicitly naming the fields, then I would have a list of objects. But since I named the fields, I get a list of named tuples. And so that affects the way that I sort of cast to get my dictionaries. So there's my uh, casting as a dictionary. I want to know the choices. So there was over here in the form, there was a delete painting form. So there's no sign here in the form of the grid.js because that's sort of outside the form. It's on the page, but outside of the form, so it doesn't belong here. But I do have a painting, which is a select field, a drop-down select, where I have where I'm going to choose a painting, and but I don't have any choices here. I'm going to get the choices just before I route from the database. Okay, back to the route. Okay, so this is me setting up the painting choices. Choices in WT forms once an array of tuples. So this is me using a list comprehension to make my array of tuples. The first element in the tuple is what's going to be the value of the drop-down select, where you work with behind the scenes. So I'm using, of course, the ID of the painting. And then the other part is what I'm going to sort of show the user, and I'm going to show them the ID and the title and the first name and the last name. So I'm going to show them my ID and my title and my artist painter's first name and last name. In case any of the paintings happen to have like something like self-portrait, there might be a lot of artists who have self-portraits. So, and even one artist might have a lot of self-portraits. So this ID is important to see in the artist's name and the title. So I want to see everything. I'm taking my dictionary and setting it up in the format that a grid.js wants. It wants a list of headers. It wants a list of values. So setting up all that form, setting up the delete form, setting up the choices that we defined above. And now here's the two templates. The lower template is the original form before the users hit the submit button. And then up here is valid on submit if we've submitted a painting to be deleted. So we grab from the ID, I'm casting as an integer, I'm getting from paintings, I'm getting that particular painting. I collect its info so I know what I'm deleting over on my handler. I delete the painting and I commit and I send myself over to the handler. Otherwise, I go to the form itself. Okay, that's mostly what I wanted to show you. It's the really only, compared to deleting an artist, um, not much has changed. In fact, it's probably easier in terms of database because I'm not really employing the cascade here. But I guess the interesting part is the different part is the this query where one, it's an explicit join. So I'm explicitly listing fields from two different tables. I'm also sort of renaming those fields with a label. And then if I'm doing an explicit join, then I must impose the condition, the sort of the natural join condition of setting the foreign key in one table to the primary key in another table. Okay, that's it. That's what I want to show you in this one. Thanks for your attention.